This weekend, we start celebrating what Christians normally call Holy Week. It was Jesus' last week here on earth, and towards the end he was crucified, and we celebrate his resurrection. I come from the middle of a cemetery. The reason why many people have problems with the concept of a resurrection can be found here in this cemetery. For all its record, not a single person here has risen from the dead. And to believe that someone rose from the dead is, at best, a bit of a logical stretch, but very hard for people to believe. And where do we get it from? Well, we get it from a book. Is it fair to demand that from someone else if they don't believe this book? Why do you say we set this book aside for just a little bit and look at the resurrection from a more logical standpoint? They were good as far as logic was concerned. It's good to think about, okay, what really happened? So you start looking as far as what the historians wrote, and there you can determine some things that happened when all the historians agreed on it. For example, all the reputable historians and all the ones back there at the time agreed there was a man named Jesus. He actually lived. They all agree that he made some people very upset and ended up being executed by Roman soldiers. They all agree he was put into a tomb. They all agree the tomb ended up empty. Where they disagree is how the tomb ended up empty. So let's just look at how could the tomb possibly end up empty. Among one of the stories that came in is that the disciples came in and took Jesus' body. Now, in order to prevent this, they had the body under Roman guard. Let's just take a little tight look at this. Roman guard. If you fell asleep on his shift overnight, that was basically suicide. It was a capital offense. You could lose your life over it. But for the sake of argument, let's assume that they did fall asleep. And we have these 11 disciples sneaking into this little camp area. Oh, by the way, did I mention the Roman guard was at least 30 soldiers? Anywhere between 30 and 50 was a typical Roman guard. So this isn't like one or two soldiers. So we have these disciples sneaking in, rolling a 2 to 3 ton boulder ever so quietly out of the way, and removing the body without raking a single Roman soldier. To believe that such is possible goes well beyond any kind of logical belief. So let's say that they went in from a 21st century standpoint, guns blazing, let's go take them. The only recorded disciple to brandish a weapon was Peter, when he pulled out a sword and took a big swing to split the skull of one of the servants that was there to take Jesus that night. Took big swing, big old skull, barely nicked him in the ear. When I fight someone in a sword fight, that's the guy I want to fight, because that way I know I'm going to win. These guys were not soldiers. There's no way that they could have fought their way in to get Jesus' body. So, who else might have taken the body? Well, we have both the Hebrew government and we have the Roman government. Both of them would be very interested in protecting the body. That's why it was guarded in the first place. But let's say, for the sake of argument, they knew that the disciples would want to say that Jesus was alive. So therefore, they smuggle the body out. Disciples go, find an empty tomb, go, he's alive! And all the Romans or the Hebrews have to do to quell this is say, really? Let's just parade his body through the street. So to believe that the Romans or the Jews took the body would also be completely illogical. So we know that no man or group of men did it. Let's look for natural possibilities. Could a body decay in about 3 days? Let's say maybe a snake came in and ate the body for the advantage. And it's going to sneak out of that tomb. Right, roll away the tomb? Well, there's no body, but look at that snake with a body-sized lump in it. I wonder what happened to the body. To believe any natural cause could have caused the tomb to be empty is also ridiculous. A among the other arguments put forth, Jesus didn't die. He just sort of passed out from all that went on. Yes, it sounds good in theory, except the Roman soldiers made sure that the other two guys that were on that cross that day were dead. They stuck Jesus with a spear to verify his demise. They knew what to look for. They were trained. And if, on the smallest chance he did survive the beating, the crucifixion, when he was wrapped in the cloth, which was basically like being wrapped in a giant plaster cast, oh, suffocation, yeah, that's going to help with the recovery process. And especially in a cold, damp cave for the 3 days, and he's just going to roll that 2-ton stone away without making any kind of noise? Right. To believe that Jesus merely just passed out and made his way out on his own, that is also well beyond the reach of logic. So it didn't happen by man-made causes. It didn't happen by natural causes. Jesus didn't merely pass out. So now we have to start really finding another way. So now we're up to, and I've heard this proposed, aliens coming and taking that body. The fool, as you can already see, this goes even well beyond the reach that even believing the resurrection has. We celebrate the resurrection, not just because it's written in the Bible. We celebrate the resurrection because to do anything else, to believe anything else, is far more foolishness than that. I'm Brian, and together we are in his service.